Whether you're new to fountain pens or a longtime user and avid collector, I believe there are a few key essential accessories that will maximize your enjoyment of your collection. And I'd like to go over those today. I'll be sure to leave links in the description below, as well as timestamps to allow you to jump between categories. The first category that I have that I believe is essential is bottled ink. Now, when you first start out with fountain pens, you may find yourself using cartridges of ink, but you're going to find out that they are very limited in their selection, and there's really a whole world that opens up once you start using bottled inks. The brands that I highly recommend are the Iroshizuku brand, which is made by Pilot. These are wonderful performing lubricated inks, which have excellent ink flow and will also help maintain the internal components of your fountain pen. If you opt for the larger bottles, you get a beautiful finish here. It's all made out of glass. And if you look closely, there is a little divot in the middle, which allows you to get the maximum amount of ink out of this bottle. The next ink that I highly recommend is from Waterman. These are highly water-soluble inks. They are very well-performing inks, and what I use as a benchmark for the performance of most of my pens. They are very easy to clean up, and they're safe to use on both modern and vintage pens alike. And then the third brand that I highly recommend is Diamine. And I recommend this because they just have a huge variety of colors, inks that sheen, inks that have shimmer, with new inks coming out every single year. There are many other brands that have a huge variety of inks. I have some honorable mentions to Sailor, Colorverse, J. Herbon, and then also an honorable mention for ink sample vials. These are great options to affordably try out a wide variety of inks without committing to an entire bottle. My next key accessory is fountain pen friendly paper. Now, my tried and true is Clairefontaine Triomphe paper. I find it's extremely smooth. It showcases many beautiful properties of ink, and it is extremely well performing. And then in terms of notebooks, I love Nemosine paper. It is very quick to dry, and it is also very fountain pen friendly. It's a great use, especially on the go. I also highly recommend Tomoe River paper, which I don't currently have, but I've used in the past, and it is extremely well performing, but it does have the caveat of being extremely thin and can have the tendency to ghost, which is when you can see the ink on the opposite side of the paper. A few honorable mentions I want to note too is Rhodia. I haven't personally used any Rhodia paper, but it is extremely well loved in the fountain pen hobby. And my last honorable mention is Amazon Basics copy paper. And it is a little bit of a strange recommendation, but I found that it is very fountain pen friendly, especially when you have pens with medium, fine, or extra fine tipping sizes. In fact, that is the type of paper that I used on most reviews early on in this channel. Now, you've filled up your pen and you've started writing, but the writing experience is not ideal and you need to do some troubleshooting, in which case there are a few accessories that I find very useful. First of all, a jeweler's loupe. This is essential in order to check the tines on your nib. You're going to want to use this to check both the spacing as well as the alignment. The next item that is essential is some brass shims. This is going to help you with cleaning out the tines, as well as perhaps adding a little bit of extra space to increase ink flow. I highly recommend also having silicone grease. This is key for maintenance. It's going to make sure that all of your pistons and seals are working properly. And then finally, an honorable mention to micro mesh. This is a key essential item to have as a final step to nib tuning and making sure that your fountain pen is writing smoothly. So you filled up your fountain pen, you've been writing with an ideal type of paper, and it provides a great smooth writing experience, but it's now time to clean it out. What do I use for cleaning fountain pens? Number one, I like to have a bulb syringe. This is going to be a useful tool to draw up fresh water and force water in and out of grip sections. I also find blunt needle syringes are ideal to have. This nice spring-loaded one allows you to quickly force water into hard-to-reach areas. If you don't have the patience for that small blunt needle syringe, you can buy a full-size one, in which case you pull up fresh water and force it out of the small tip. But I also have found a hack. If you take out the plunger and drop a large spring into the body, you can transform this into a spring-loaded blunt needle syringe with a really large capacity. And as you continue to disassemble your pen, I find gripping materials are essential to have. I always use these in order to pull out nibs and feeds. And on the more exotic filling systems, I also find a thin wrench is very useful to have. Personally, my go-to is this Asvine multi-wrench, which has many different size openings, as well as little teeth here to help grab onto a wide variety of threads. And then in terms of a few honorable mentions, I do recommend having pen flush available. I don't use it all that often, but I find if you've left a pen inked for too long, or if you bought a used pen that has really stubborn ink stains, this is a good last resort to break up that ink. On top of that, a ultrasonic cleaner would also be useful. And then if you start getting into vintage fountain pens, especially ones with gold nibs, I highly recommend a jeweler's polishing cloth, which will help break up tar and patina and restore those pens to looking like new. And once you've cleaned up your pens and are ready to put it into storage, you need something to hold it safely and securely. When it comes to storage on a desk, I tend to use a pen tray similar to this 5-pen tray. I'll post a link to this in the description below. It even has a nice engraving that the company puts on it. And then in terms of traveling with your fountain pens, I love using this 3-pen case. It's made out of leather and it has a nice drawer that pulls out. And then for longer term storage, or if you are planning to travel either to a pen show or meetup, these large portfolios are very useful. They hold a massive amount of pens, and you are able to safely travel with those pens or store them for future use. And then an honorable mention that I have is a display case for your desk or maybe for your bookshelf, just to admire your pen collection from afar. So I hope that you found this quick video of fountain pen accessory essentials informative and useful. If you have any questions about any of the products I reviewed today, please leave them in the comment section below. And I just want to say thank you for watching.